Okay, for the foundational level here, physiological routines and physical habits. And remember that this is connected directly, and in fact, maps over Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And so it's lining up exactly with that. So this level here is helping to fulfill those needs from Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Sleep, nutrition, movement, discipline. But we are specifically talking about in these sessions the specific habits that line up with those needs, okay?
Everyone, real quick, rate your sleep for last week. 1 to 10. 10 being fan-stinking-tastic. Everybody give yourself a sleep score last week.
Or last night, if you can't remember the whole week. Okay, so we're continuing today, though, because we did so much on sleep last time, with the other now 3 topics we want to discuss, which are going to be nutrition, movement, and then physical touch. Okay? Now, again, remember, keep this all in the framework of these are all tools to change state. Hopefully, if I just use that word now, you guys are getting what I'm saying. State, your physical state.
Energy, vitality.
Yes.
Mood, just feeling good, physically, mentally, spiritually.
So all of these are tools for that, because you have to understand that ultimately our physical state is determined by our physiology, which is the biochemistry of our body. Our body produces all these chemicals, and some of them make us feel more blah, and some of them make us feel happier. And we use these tools to change the chemicals in our body to feel more happy. Right? It's kind of like doing drugs, but it's healthier, right? It's a healthy way of doing it. So you're using sleep, nutrition, movement as a drug to change your state. That's literally what drugs do. That's what the pharmaceutical industry is all about. They're changing your state with drugs, but this is the natural way, the natural approach.
So at almost every single moment of our lives, we have some kind of chemical, some kind of drug being released in our bodies.
Yes.
So it could be cortisol, if you're stressed or upset or worried, or it could be
melatonin or dopamine
or serotonin or endorphins.
Yes.
Right. All these good things that either make you feel happy or make you feel sad or stressed or discouraged or tired. We're a walking, talking pharmacy.
Yes. So all of these tools are different ways of producing these different chemicals. And obviously we're trying to produce more of the feel-good chemicals so we can feel good. So nutrition. Now, again, you guys know we could do entire sessions on each one of these. So we're going to be giving you overviews. And of course, if you want more information, you can even look back in the recordings we've done because we've talked about it before. So there will be recorded coaching sessions on food, on sleep, on exercise. Like we've got all of that in there. So it's just a quick intro / overview of the idea. So some of the main points here is, especially as we're dealing with our kids and our teens, that they're growing, they're developing, they have all sorts of chemical changes going on in their bodies. And so that's why it's even more important that they're, 1, getting sleep, and 2, getting good nutrition. Because the nutrition that they're getting will either amplify the roller coaster they're on or help to stabilize it. So for example, sugars, simple carbohydrates, all of those things are going to be contributing to sugar spikes and drops, which then equal emotional roller coasters. But if you're giving them something like protein, especially in the morning, it helps to stabilize their blood sugar, which helps to stabilize their emotions. So one of the most simple approaches you could ever do is regularly give protein to your children first thing in the morning. So instead of a sugary cereal or even oatmeal or pancakes or orange juice or bagels, all of these things that people traditionally eat for breakfast are actually really bad for blood sugar.
Well, they think it's healthy. So it's like, well, no, we have orange juice and bagels for breakfast. We're having a healthy breakfast. Those 2 things will spike your blood sugar so high. So it's actually, it's a terrible, terrible breakfast. right? And so the building blocks of the body, of our muscle, of all of our movement are proteins and healthy fats. So that's what we need to prioritize
Well,
over
not just the building blocks themselves, but also the stabilized
stability of
blood sugar, right?
Let me share a quick story. A good friend of mine, he's a university professor and he did research for years and years and years on happiness. And so while he was studying it, he had a student come in and she's like, when I lived at home, she was a freshman. She's like, I was so happy and everything was great. And now I can never be happy. I'm just so discouraged and downhearted. Nothing is good. And he's like, okay, come to my office. Let's talk through this. And he starts going, and he's like, well, what did you have for breakfast? And she thought for a minute. And she's like, Mountain Dew. And he's like, okay. It's like, well, what did you have for lunch? He's like, I think I had one of those little bags of chips. And he's like, hold up. Today, you've had Mountain Dew and a bag of chips. He's like, is this a regular occurrence? She's like, yeah, that's what I have most days. He's like, well, there's your problem. Like, was this like this at home? He's like, no, my mom always had good home cooked meals. We ate great at home. He's like, well, there it is right there. You're not even feeding your brain and your body, which sadly, you guys, this is all too common. That, teens, young adults, even in families, we're just consuming garbage and it makes us feel horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's crashing blood sugar, all the biochemistry. It really, really affects the brain and the body.
Yes. So one simple change that you can make that helps with stabilizing this is simply having protein for breakfast. Now that's simple as eggs, scrambled eggs, bacon, bratwurst, steak, ground beef, Greek yogurt, anything like that that has a whole bunch of protein. That is the best way to start the day. And a simple change in diet like that can have really impactful effects on how you feel, on how your children feel, because instead of having this mid-morning crash or hour later crash, right? You actually have sustained energy, you have sustained stability, simply because your blood sugar is like this instead of like this, right? It's a very simple physiological thing that's going on in our biology. And if we make those simple changes, wow, over time, that produces incredible results. And in a lot of countries, because we've traveled, of course, to a lot of places, in most countries, they often eat just dinner leftovers for breakfast. That's what they eat. So they're eating something more savory, more stable, right? And it's less of this, like it's very American and actually British, because we're connected to Britain, to eat sugary, sweet things for breakfast. That's very unique to those cultures. But in other places, it's not like that. They don't have breakfast foods per se, especially that are sweet. So I'll just give you one quick recipe. This is a go-to that we probably eat 4 to 6 times a week. And we just call it some version of Eggs Delight. So it's basically scrambled eggs with whatever meat we happen to have in the fridge. That could be cut up bratwurst, it could be bacon, it could be ground beef. Sometimes it's chicken, sometimes it's pork. It's basically that. We cook up if I'm doing it, I get a little fancier and I cut up onions and garlic and I throw that in. Greg doesn't do that. He just skips all of that and just cooks up the bacon, throws in the broth, scrambles the eggs, and we put some cheese on it. That's it.
Everybody loves it.
We have some version of that most mornings.
And so like here's the original fry up in the UK is eggs and bacon. Yes.
Exactly.
Excellent.
Super good for you. Okay, so that's that.